Sajak arrived home exhausted if not frustrated with all the tension built up with no means of release. Working overtime wasn't part of his agenda, but when you have a pregnant hormonal lover to feed, then money is a necessity for keeping the fridge stocked. Sajak removed his shoes at the entrance of his home before going off to find the pesky blonde. Usually when he came home, Naruto would appear out of nowhere to jump into his unsuspecting arms and go all moody and hormonal on him. Right now there was just silence and no pattern of feet. Sajak grew anxious and hurried searching his home before coming to a complete halt in the living room. The only source of light was provided by the television that emitted muffled voices of a TV talk show. As the pictures switched from dark tones to colorful and bright tones, this illuminated the couch where a blonde lay with eyes closed. Hands were nestled on his abdomen as a small smile was etched on a caramel-colored face. Sajak could hardly contain his own smile of relief seeing the dog yet again falling asleep in the living room couch. Sajak made his way to Naruto, making no attempts to even resist the urge of running his slender fingers through golden silk hair. He knelt beside his lover, observing the boy in complete awe. The tresses cascaded down the whisker cheeks and the expression on Naruto's face was serene. Sajak pressed smooth cheeks, smirking when a size-skate pink plump lips. "I'm home," Sajak whispered into his lover's ear. Naruto shifted slightly though remained asleep. Sajak was well aware that even though Naruto had always been one for stamina, the pregnancy tired him faster than before. He moved towards where Naruto's slender hands rested against a bump that was starting to grow apparent even through baggy shirts. Sajak's smirk grew as he massaged the bump, while also joining his and Naruto's hands together. It still seemed incredible to him that Naruto, the person he loved the most, was carrying his child. Sajak found himself rubbing the swelling abdomen often as to prove to himself all his happiness wasn't a dream. All the chaos and obstacles he and Naruto overcame led to such a beautiful bond to tie them together. "Naruto," Sajak whispered softly, placing a chaste kiss on an unsuspecting lips. He loved the mere supple texture of the luscious lips. The blonde's eyes fluttered open when his name was uttered again. Confused sapphire eyes were revealed, then a faint smile replaced the peaceful expression he once held in his sleep. "Sajak, you home?" Naruto said in a low tone, marking his grogginess. "I didn't mean to wake you," Sajak admitted, still caressing Naruto's stomach in an apologetic gesture. A slight tint of red formulated on tan cheeks, and Naruto buried his face against the soft cushions of the couch. "It's okay. I was just resting my eyes," Naruto said, trying to avoid those piercing on each side. He was embarrassed to say the least. Here his lover was kneeling next to him, pressing his fingers lightly against his belly with a warm smile. "HN. Bring a cover next time or you'll catch a cold," Sajak said, removing his hand from Naruto's hands to cup the boy's chin. "You know I don't get sick," Naruto replied, grinning, since he knew Sajak worried easily now that he was pregnant. The Raven raised an eyebrow. "That may be so in the past, but now you are more prone to infections," Sajak protested, his expression forming into a grimace. Naruto sighed and sat up carefully before patting Sajak on the head. "Okay, you win. I'll go grab a blanket whenever I come to lie down in the living room. Don't get upset, Tim," Naruto said before trying to get up from the couch. He almost fell back onto the couch had it not been for Sajak's quick arms to catch him. "Careful, Dobby," Sajak warned, grasping the blonde securely so his lover could be given an opportunity to regain his balance. Naruto let out a relieved sigh before he found Sajak's arms wrapped around his chest. Then Sajak froze, feeling something wet on Naruto's shirt. "Hey, Naruto." His voice trailed off, unsure how to ask the question. "Yeah?" Naruto asked, leaning his head back into Sajak's neck. "Did you spill something on your shirt?" Sajak asked, striking the fabric a bit for Naruto to feel the wet liquid. The fox vessel quickly got out of his lover's embrace to cross his arms to hide his chest area. A dark red color formulated on his whisker cheeks. "It's nothing," Naruto said quickly, hoping Sajak turned his attention somewhere else rather than his chest. Sajak, however, came closer with curiosity and at the same time concern. "Come on, show me so we can clean it up," Sajak said, outstretching his hand to offer Naruto to come closer within his grasp. The blonde shook his head in response, already backing into a wall, and a soft gasp escaped his lips when he found himself trapped under Sajak. "You act more and more like a girl each day, Dobby." Naruto blushed harder at this comment. Shut up, Tim. Let me go to the bathroom. Naruto exclaimed, trying to push his lover off of him, but Sajak was stronger than him in this state. No. I'll clean up so you won't force yourself, Sajak protested, but Naruto wouldn't let him any closer than he already was. I can handle myself, Naruto quickly said, thinking of escaping by going under his lover's armpits, but the Raven of course always predicted his actions. Before Naruto could even get a foot away from Sajak, the Uchiha scooped him bridal-style gracefully, earning a groan of defeat. That's not fair. You know why I can't run, Naruto pointed out, still covering his chest area. Sajak smirked. It's fair. Sajak carried him to their bedroom that was dark, but soon illuminated when Sajak switched on the lights. Naruto squeaked as the lights blinded his vision for a matter of seconds. His lover settled him down gently on the bed before sitting next to him. Lift up your shirt, Sajak said, but Naruto shook his head. No way, Naruto answered, keeping his arms crossed to prove his refusal. Sajak sighed, knowing the blonde was only being difficult with him. Why not? It's just a spill, Sajak proclaimed. He lifted the shirt off and Naruto shuddered as his cheeks turned a darker shade of red. A white substance dribbled from pink nipples down onto the bunk. Oh? What else could Sajak say? Naruto closed his eyes in shame and turned his head away. Sajak finally saw his secret, and all he wanted to do was die. Since when? Sajak's calm voice surprised Naruto. Out of all the reactions conjured in his head, none of them were calm or smirking. Sajak. Why, you're not disgusted? Naruto asked in a low tone. Sajak flicked Naruto playfully on the forehead as his own older brother had done many years ago. Never. You will never disgust me. It's just lactation, Sajak answered, kissing Naruto on the forehead. The blonde blushed when he heard the word lactation. The old hag had explained to him this might happen during or after his pregnancy. Though he didn't grow any form of breast, nor did his chest rise into bumps, he still lactated. Sinead explained it was due to the oxytocin being released into his body, and it would stimulate his muscles to produce milk despite the fact he didn't have breasts. All thanks to the cutie. I wonder if I can have some milk. I am rather thirsty, Sajak said with a sly smirk forming on his face. What? Naruto exclaimed, but before he could even stop Sajak, the Raven pushed him down so he held himself on top of the boy. He made sure there was enough space between them so the bump wouldn't suffer from the pressure of his weight. Sajak, don't you die, the Raven lowered his face and looked at the trail of milk that dribbled down Naruto's stomach. Ah. The thing with lactation was Naruto was really sensitive. He felt pleasure when Sajak flicked one of his nipples with his warm tongue. Naruto moaned and felt his groin area start to grow hot at the scene of Sajak starting to suck on his pink nipple and drink some of his milk. Ha! No. Sajak tweaked the other nipple with his fingers, drawing more milk out of his nipple. Naruto, you taste so good, Sajak said, licking his lips as lust reflected from on each side. HNGN. As Sajak, you pervert. Naruto gasped out when that sinful mouth found its way back to his nipples to milk him even more. His tanned hands grabbed for the silky strands of dark hair to push him down further into his nipple if it was possible. All the sensations of being sucked and pinched were traveling straight down to his cock. And with Naruto being sensitive to even the lightest touch, he felt he could come in there. Who's the pervert? You seem to be enjoying me taking some of your milk, Sajak said, licking the other nipple. Oh God, Naruto murmured when Sajak twirled his nipple, drawing more liquid from the blonde who squirmed underneath him. Ah. Sajak kept pinching his nipples, but now moved his mouth hard to nip at his collarbone. Naruto, if you keep making those noises I won't hold back, Sajak warned when a fox vessel let out a loud mew. Sajak could feel himself hardening when he saw the on-side of Naruto's face was twisted in raw lust, his blue eyes unfocused, cheeks flushed, and lips begging to be taken. Sajak took over the boy's mouth and was granted access inside the moist cavern rather easily. Their breaths mingled together while the ministrations of Sajak's hands started to move away from direct nipples to a much lower area, causing a cry of pleasure and surprise to escape from the smaller male's mouth. Pa! No, Sajak. The hand had slipped into loose pants under the hindrance cloth of boxers to grasp Naruto's member. The disconnection of mouths left a residue of saliva mixed with milk that drooled down Naruto's mouth, only sending Sajak into further bliss. The mirror image. "You're so hard," Sajak said with a smirk as he started to pump Naruto's cock slowly. HGNN. Naruto began to thrash under the Raven's absolute control. Only Sajak could drive him to the edge of insanity. As Sajak pleaded, Naruto begged, although he had no idea what he wanted. He hoped Sajak might get to him and do anything to relieve his body of the intense accumulating at the pit of his stomach. "Please, what?" "I don't know what you want," Sajak teased, licking the tan navel. Naruto groaned as his hands clenched the bed sheets tightly. His cheeks turned a slight pink before he gave in. "You use your fingers." Naruto said this as low as he could, for if he spoke any louder he would never forgive himself for not protecting his dignity. The Raven complied with his pregnant lover's wishes and removed the rest of the clothing to leave him bare naked. "Spread your legs," Sajak commanded with a note of affection in his voice. Naruto nodded but bit down on his lip when he saw Sajak staring at his body. "Stop staring, Tim. It's embarrassing," Naruto complained, trying to sound annoyed but failed when Sajak massaged his balls. "Oh? Shit," he whimpered against the tongue. "I wanna look." "You're so beautiful, Naruto," Sajak said, planting a kiss on his inner thigh. Onyx's eyes shifted down towards the twitching puckered entrance that was anticipating for something to fill it. Sajak placed his own fingers inside his mouth, licking them until he decided they were wet enough. He was about to slip a digit inside the hole when Naruto stopped him by placing his hand on his hair. "Sajak, let me do something too." Naruto looked away as he pleaded, for he knew Sajak's ego always boosted when this happened. "Here, let's shift positions," Sajak offered, kneeling down so his own hard member hung above Naruto's face, and his face was near Naruto's own hard member to make the position more comfortable for Naruto. Sajak slipped one finger in without warning, earning a whimper of discomfort from Naruto. Despite the many times they had sex, Naruto never loosened up and his cavern remained tight and hot. Muscles clenched around the intruder, giving a sensation of a possible blockage. Blood flowed to Sajak's finger. Sajak rubbed against smooth walls that were sucking his finger in deeper each time the circular entrance clenched around his digit. At the same time, Sajak sent shivers of pleasure all over Naruto's body. The blonde stroked his lover's length before giving a few teasing licks at the head. The only indication Sajak was enjoying his member being sucked by Naruto was his breathing pattern and occasional thrust of his hips. Sajak wanted to plunge himself deeper into the mouth, but he wasn't all for being rough with Naruto. At least not while Naruto was pregnant. Sajak wouldn't slip into his sadistic nature. Naruto let out a quantum moan as another finger stretched his hole further and Sajak's cock slipped out of his mouth and covering his lips with pre-cum. The fingers had brushed his prostate, but even with a bit of stimulation, Naruto's sensitivity made it feel incredible. Sajak. A third digit aroused a hiss from Naruto of pain, but Sajak distracted him from the sharp sting by giving a lick in the vein on Naruto's member. HMNN. Soon the pain passed away to be replaced with waves of pleasure as Sajak began to sink his fingers further in and accurately hit Naruto's prostate. Naruto held on to Sajak's hips as his vision began to cloud with stars. Everything was so intense when Sajak was the one leading him. Sajak. "Stop, I can't hold out much longer," Naruto said, panting heavily. It was a miracle he could still speak coherently. Of course that would change soon as Sajak slid out his fingers with a slight pop. Naruto shuddered at the loss of being filled by his lover's fingers. Sajak carefully moved his member away from the boy's mouth to receive a whine of disappointment. "Don't worry, the next part we'll both enjoy," Sajak reassured him, joined their mouths together. Their kiss was ardent with overwhelming emotions of the love they both held for each other, and now with a child who was to be born a few months later. Distracting Naruto by slipping his tongue inside between the set of white teeth, Sajak spread Naruto's legs to grant better access for his erection to align with the quivering entrance. He slowly impaled Naruto, not wanting to be rash, and not only hurt him but the baby as well. Sanae had warned them if they wanted to have sex, Sajak would have to be gentle. That was easier said than done as the tight heat literally was sucking in his cock deeper. Naruto wrapped his arms around Sajak and dug his nails into milky cream skin. They hadn't done it in a while, for Sajak's fear of hurting the baby should they lose themselves in heat. Even with the preparation of fingers, Sajak hadn't applied lube, seeing they had run out of it, and both of them forgot to purchase more bottles. Sajak took his time filling Naruto as he saw the boy's brows knit together in pain. After a few agonizing moments, Sajak was finally sheathed all the way inside. Sajak, you're so big, Naruto murmured, still clawing at his back. Then you're too tight, Sajak replied, taking all his might not to pound into Naruto unmercifully. Sajak paused, waiting for Naruto to give him some type of signal to continue once the younger male was adjusted to the membrane beside him. Sure enough, Naruto pushed against Sajak's hips for some experimental thrusting and bit his lip to stifle a moan. Move. Sajak started thrusting at a steady pace, wanting to make sure Naruto was as comfortable as possible through the whole ordeal. MGN. Sweat began to trickle down their bodies and glistened as the light from the room reflected off the droplets. Naruto wrapped his legs around Sajak to drive the raven further in and find his prostrate. Ha! There. Naruto screamed when pleasure that sent him to the edge of sanity washed over him. Sajak continued aiming for that one spot as he too panted as the muscles tightened their grip around his cock. Naruto squirmed and thrashed underneath him as Sajak increased the speed of his thrust. Naruto. Sajak leaned forward to come an inch or so apart from each other's face before Naruto closed the gap between them in a messy yet steaming kiss. Sajak sucked on the sun-kissed neck before his hands found themselves fondling still lactating knuckles. The liquid released wasn't in great quantities, but it was enough for him to lick and taste the heavenly substance he was instantly addicted to. MMMPH. Sajak ha! Naruto was now beginning to scream out incoherently with half-finished sentences and curses mixed with Sajak's name. Sajak's thrusts began to lose their rhythm as both were close to their climax. The squelching emitted from their body fluids smacking against skin enhanced the erotic view of Naruto blushing madly with tears of pleasure forming at the corners of his sapphire eyes. I'm going crazy, Naruto said, pressing Sajak closer to him. Oh? Sajak smirked, licking his lips. Then I'll drive you even crazier. Ooh. HGN. Naruto threw his head back when a particular thrust reached a special spot in with more force than the other thrusts had provided with. Sajak, me too. Sajak took Naruto's leaking penis into his hand to stroke it in time with his thrust. To add to the stimulation of the prostate being hit and pumping Naruto, the Uchiha twirled and tweaked dusky nipples until they were swollen from fondling. Sajak. Naruto screamed as he came all over his lover's hands and onto his stomach. As Naruto unleashed his pent-up heat, his muscles constricted the passageway where Sajak still continued thrusting frantically. With Naruto's ass painfully squeezing him, Sajak finally reached his own resolve and released his essence inside Naruto. Naruto felt Sajak pulsing inside him before the raven pulled out slowly, allowing the boy to regain his breath and enjoy the afterglow. Sajak laid next to him, panting softly, and a smile cracked into his delicate features. Naruto, I love you, Sajak said, kissing the tan forehead. Naruto smiled widely, hardly containing his joy. I love you too, Sajak. Sajak pulled him closer into his arms that always made him feel secure and protected. Naruto nestled against the well-built chest and sighed in satisfaction. We should start coming up with names to name the baby, Naruto said sleepily as exhaustion was starting to lull him into a peaceful resting state. Anything you want is fine with me, Sajak replied, messaging the bump again as if he were talking to the child and not Naruto. Ramen. Naruto's eyes lit up as he mentioned the food made by whatever gods that were out there that understood Naruto's meaning of life. Sajak snorted. Our child can't be named after food, Sajak stated, his eyebrow raising. Naruto pouted, jabbing Sajak with his finger. Fine. Then what do you think is a good? Naruto challenged with a hint of a sly smile forming. Your milk is good. The child's name went undecided for the time being, but Naruto made a recent discovery following that night's secession. Sajak developed somewhat of a milk fetish.